Yo, what's good? It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. The Detroit Pistons, well, they're the Detroit Pistons. Dropping a few, continuing to do their best to be competitive, but, up against the best of the league, you can only do so much. But an area that we can highlight, that I do want to come in and highlight, is James Wiseman. And I want to dive into his production, his growth, his development, and the future outlook for him, especially with the Detroit Pistons. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. You know the drill. And I definitely appreciate all the love and support. James Wiseman is one of those young men that I followed since his days at the University of Memphis under Penny Hardaway. And one thing that I always hold against the NCAA it's just this stupid, witch hunt that they have or used to have before the NIL deals came into play, where they would just try to find reasons to say like, oh, somebody took money, somebody took money, somebody took money. Look, we know money is flowing all throughout the NCAA, but trying to target the most talented players who are going to play for big time programs is just stupid. Now, it's also very curious that it never happens to Duke, never happens to Kentucky, it never seems to happen with Kansas. We all know that those blue blood schools are giving out money, but they don't mind going after the Baylor. They don't mind going after, some of these other schools. It's real interesting, just the whole racial dynamic and things that take place in sport. But I digress. I digress. When we look at James Wiseman, when he came in to college, one thing that was just incredibly apparent was just how talented he is, just how physically gifted he was. He was one of those dudes that just, when you just see him run around and jump on the court, you go, oh, yeah, he's one of those other, quote unquote, other athletes, right? You have people who are athletic. I'm athletic, right? But compared to NBA players in my prime, I'm average, right? And then there are guys who you see move, and then you go, well, I was probably a little bit above average. I'll give myself a little bit more credit than that. I had speed, right? And quickness. But it's to say that when you look at other guys, you go, oh, he's the other type of athlete. He's the D Wades, he's the LeBrons, he's the, you know, uh, guys that have so much speed, power, jumping ability, agility, coordination, quickness. The D Rose, Cat Quick, the John Walls, the Russell Westbrooks. Like there's different tiers, and James Wiseman was on that other tier when it came to physical tools and gifts for a 7 foot plus big man. He just did. He just did. And so when you saw him play, you saw the touch, you saw his length, you saw his rebounding ability, you saw his agility, his ability to coordinate himself and his balance, um, his first jump, second jump, quickness, his speed up and down the court. You just saw it and you just go, wow, okay, you won the lottery. You have all the physical tools. And then he gets drafted. I thought it was a great spot to get drafted to, especially the timing of it, because it was during a time where the Warriors were on a downward slump, and so you knew he was going to get playing time. The only problem was he kept getting hurt, and injuries will upend a career faster than anything. We remember people like Sean Livingston back in the day, right? Greg Oden, guys who get injured early in their careers and have to claw and fight to get back. James Wiseman didn't have as significant of injuries, but the injuries nonetheless really stalled his early development. And by the time that he came back, well, the team was off and running, winning championships again, and they didn't have the room to develop him, nor the coaching X and O's. And so he bounces around and he ends up in Detroit. In the past couple of seasons, we've seen him begin to put together, okay, I'm healthy, I feel good in my body, confident, and now I'm ready to contribute. And we've been seeing his contribution. Now, shout out to Dwayne Casey, shout out to Monty Williams, who have consistently given him opportunities, created a very clear expectation of what they want to see from him on the court. And we have seen that. We've seen the effort running up and down the court. We've seen the improved screen setting. We've seen the attention to detail on the defensive end, being in position, challenging shots at the rim, which he's done an amazing job. I watch almost pretty much every single Detroit Pistons game, and I usually watch it after the game so I can slow it down Or if I watch it during the game, I'll still slow it down, back it up, rewind, make sure that I can catch each play and see how they develop and just a little nuances. And what you see from James Wiseman defensively is he still has great timing to be able to get into position to challenge shots at the rim, which is something that we're still kind of waiting on Jalen Duren to do. But it's all to say that when we look at his development, we also have to acknowledge the things that he's still improving on. One clear distinction is in strength. He still gets moved around uh, by guys like Luke Cornett, right? Career backup bigs who are just older and more in their man strength, but they can still move him around on the court. And when I say move him around, they can move him off his spot, whether it's post ups, whether it's for rebounding positioning where you see it happen the most, or you just see it when he's going up and down the court. When bigs want to get him out of the play, they can. They can get their body up into him, and he hasn't shown the ability to overcome that. Guys that he might want to start studying are guys like Marcus Camby, who made a career off of being a thin, wiry, gangly, lengthy big man who's able to still rebound at a high level, block shots, get to their spots, and make a huge impact. Shoot, he might want to watch guys like Chet Holmgren, right? He's extremely wiry, but you watch the way he fights. You look at his basketball IQ, his anticipation, and that's probably one of the biggest differences that you see between Wiseman and Duren. If you just look at physical tools, Wiseman has clearly more physical tools than Jalen Duren, but his feel for the game and his basketball IQ, along with his strength, just allows him to be in plays that Wiseman still can't seem to get into, right? He still can't seem to battle amongst a whole bunch of bigs and clear that rebound. And when I say clear the rebound, I mean guys don't really even challenge his rebounding. Once Jalen Duren gets a hand on the ball, they just go, okay, it's his. There's really no point to this. He's too big, he's too strong, his hands are too secure. With James Wiseman, everybody challenges the ball in his hands. They see him grab a rebound, they're like, yeah, right, okay. And then they go for it because they know that he doesn't have that security. He doesn't have that strength. He doesn't have that reliability in his body yet. And this is still another big jump. But when you look at the other areas of his development, you saw the first game against the Boston Celtics a few nights ago. He was trying to finish at the rim against Luke Cornett, and he got denied a few times. He didn't get the call a few times, and he was less effective. The next time around, recently against the Boston Celtics, now all of a sudden he's doing that little jump hook, the little floater, the little push shot. He's got amazing touch around the rim, and all of a sudden you saw the effectiveness fly back up. While they waited for him at the rim, he just easily shot over them. And with that 7'7" wingspan at 7'1", there was nothing Luke Cornett could do. And so that's a great adjustment to be able to see from a big man from game to game, which means that he's actually growing, he's learning, he's figuring stuff out. And what you want to see long term is his ability to figure this out in real time throughout a game. Okay, I got challenged at the rim once, didn't get the call twice. Okay, the next time, push shot. Oh, this seems to be working for me. Okay, I'm going to sit back and take this little 8-foot jump shot, and I'm going to knock this down because I have great touch. Right? So these are the things that we're still looking for. Now, when we think about who he is as a player going into this offseason, because he's going to be a free agent, he's somebody that I think a lot of teams are going to look at. A lot of teams who are saying, hey, we may not be trying to win in the playoffs right now. We may not be a contending team right now. So we have runway for James Wiseman to continue to develop. We have the ability to work through some of the areas where he's still going to improve. Now, we also have to keep in mind that as you go through a season and you're healthy, it allows you to get into the off season healthy, which means that your time to develop your game that much more improves all the more. So expect James Wiseman to take a big jump going into next season. But that's just to say that I think this offseason, you're going to see a lot of teams take a hard look at James Wiseman. There's going to be a lot of teams who say, hey, we want to back up big that could potentially even be a starting big, right? We're going to see teams who are going to take a look at him and say, hey, you know what? I think we can give him 20 plus minutes a game. And definitely, if you're a part of the James Wiseman camp, as much as you might want to say, uh, take the best deal also needs to include guaranteed playing time. It needs to be someplace where he knows he's going to see the court to be able to work through increasing his feel, his understanding, the nuances of the game. And I think this is going to shape where he even decides to sign. Now, I do think that the Detroit Pistons are the front runners for him because they have the most salary cap. He has a level of comfort there. He has chemistry, and all these things play into your ability to develop and progress. And they've shown a commitment to him as well, playing Isaiah Stewart at power forward instead of backup center, which has been a huge boost to his development. Even with Simone Fontecchio coming in, they could have easily said, hey, we're going to slide Fontecchio into the power forward position with Asar Thompson, and then we'll play Isaiah Stewart as the backup five. They haven't done that. They said, we are committed to James Wiseman as our backup center. And that has allowed him to feel confident going into each game that he can play his game, he can play his style, and not worry about getting yanked if he makes a few mistakes for somebody who might be a little bit more secure at playing that role at this point. Now, I do also see teams like the Memphis Grizzlies, maybe the Utah Jazz. I don't think the Golden State Warriors are going to try to bring him back, though they need him. They desperately need him. You got teams out there like the Washington Wizards, the Brooklyn Nets, which might be pretty interesting, but they don't really have a point guard that can really create for him. So I don't know if that's a good situation. But if I had to bet, I think he's going to be back with the Detroit Pistons. I think he's going to be back someplace where uh, he knows he's going to get playing time. He has a role. He has a level of comfort, familiarity with the coaching staff, the offensive and defensive system and schemes that his organization believes in him and can also pay him. I think the Detroit Pistons are probably going to pitch him somewhere around 12 to 15 million a year. It's just that's what the going rate is for a backup that could potentially be a starter for stretches or even develop into a starter, right? 12 to 15 is not asking a lot. And keep in mind, the Detroit Pistons have to spend the money anyways. They have to get to a certain level on the salary cap floor. And I don't see them keeping around Evan Fournier. I wouldn't. Evan Fournier has not shown me anything that says he needs to be retained, right? That you should keep his salary on the books. I don't even know if he's necessarily good for the rest of the team. Now, I think you could. You're going to be a little bit above the floor, keeping him and re-signing Fontecchio, who is going to get paid. Look, let's just be clear. Simone Fontecchio is going to get at least about 18 to maybe 22 million a year. I'd say 16 as a floor. He's proven at 6'9". He's got the shooting touch, the athleticism, the grit, the toughness, the ability to stay healthy, the ability to defend multiple positions at both forward positions. And he just fits. He works so well for them. I don't think that they can afford to give him up. And so I think he's going to get signed, and then they're going to re-sign James Wiseman. And they'll eventually make a decision about Evan Fournier. But as always, I want to know what you all think. What do you think about James Wiseman's progress, his development, his role for the Detroit Pistons, and the long-term outlook? Get at me in the comment sections. We're going to chop it up there. Like, subscribe, and the bell for notifications. And I'm out. Peace.